You're a very...
I should not do interviews.
You're spreading your knowledge. That's perfect, which is what you do, and you do it on social media as well, don't you? Would you say so yourself? You use
I
social
sometimes
media.
say what I feel on
Exactly.
social media.
Do you think you're a bit of, would you say you are a bit of a controversial figure on social media, Twitter, Tumblr?
Controversy is often a reflection of you, not me. You know, like it's not, I just said something I believe to be true. That's inconvenient for you. That doesn't have anything to do with whether it's valuable.
Right.
Or it makes you uncomfortable in your space that is like so hyper-privileged that it's not really important to me anymore.
Right.
So yeah, I've been told I was just, I've been told it's controversial. That's certainly true. But I ask a lot of questions on Twitter of the people that call me nigger and say a lot of horrible things. Social media is such a funny thing because it's kind of like exposes you to a population you wouldn't otherwise see. It also brings out the worst in people, right? Like you can make a YouTube video of my shoes and it would be riddled with anti-gay, these shoes would be FAG shoes, nigger, it's like message boards are like the ultimate anonymous bully pulpit. It brings out the armpit of everything in society, which is kind of good to know, but also useless, and it's only people that are faceless, and people on Twitter with some avatar of an American flag and an eagle and something, some other nonsense, and because they don't know what either one of those symbols mean is why it's nonsense, and telling you how you're horrible. I worked on our president's campaign and lost like 30,000 followers from my fans.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, my fans who love me to death. Like I became a nigger in 2 seconds when I was knocking on doors in Ohio for Obama. Like stuff like that's enlightening. That's good to know. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad it happened. But there's what are you going to do with that information, and who is that population? Is that really a reflection of this country? I suspect it is in many cases. I think we all have kind of seen that. But it also brings so many of us together. I meet so many of you guys that I follow, or you follow me, and I just, that's really cool. Like the amount of access we have to each other is wonderful. Like what are we going to do with it? Like and it's the information age. If there's anything you don't know, find out. You can find it out in 15 seconds. Or you can have access to the material that will inform you on that subject to read later or sometime soon in 15 seconds. And so curiosity kind of about humanity other than our own, other than the walk that we've had in our life, I think is a really important way to try to slow down some of these trends. The fact that we have to go on TV and try to make a case for why Tamir Rice is a human being. You know what I'm saying? Like a black boy that's 12 years old was in a park playing with a gun. All boys played with guns as kids. And these are fake guns, obviously. I should have said that. Toy guns. Play with a toy gun. It's important to say because he's black. It could have been a fucking semi-automatic. A toy gun. A 12-year-old boy was playing with a toy gun. And the only way to play, and tell me if you have any other suggestions, the only way to play with a toy gun, is to do what? Point it and shoot it. It's the only way to play with a toy gun. There's no other way to play with it. You don't paint with it. And so the kid in a park by himself on camera going like this, pew, pew, and a cop comes up and shoots him in 2 seconds. And we have to go on TV and march in the streets to say his life matters. And there are other 50% that's arguing against that point. Not in 1715, not in 1815, in 2015. That is an actual segment of this population, and some of them go to this school, right? Some that's it's okay to say to try to approach that and have a conversation about it. The problem is destructive behavior and thinking that informs that, not you pointing it out. And they try to make you feel like you're crazy for pointing it out or saying, or for wanting to know more. And it's also, we have to be able to realize that you may not know my reality, and you may not know why that's offensive what you said to me. And I've got to allow for a safe space for you to inquire about that and not bash you and rip you apart for not knowing everything about my culture. We are all ignorant about more than we are not. I'm ragingly ignorant about astrophysics. I don't know anything about Southeast Asia. We've all said things that are offensive. Either you're curious enough to learn. School, you're here not to like learn what's in the textbook. You're here to learn how to learn. How to put together the tools, what tools you're going to put in that toolbox to carry around with you to be able to handle whatever breaks down. Like, that's what you're here for. So, I graduated, I squandered a lot of opportunity. I graduated school. I had a lot of opportunities to learn from the people around me and the teachers around me that I wanted to be combative with or whatever it is. Or you think, this is the age where you think everybody's in your way and you got to figure it out. You don't. And whoever was cool in this school, when you're here, you won't remember in 18 years. And whoever was like, I used to tell my high school kids, like, it's all about being cool, especially in high school, right? And especially boys. Straight boys are completely dictated by, their behavior is completely dictated by girls. Like, what the girls think is cool. And, you'd have to constantly remind them, like, who was cool? Who was, like, the cool kids in 7th grade? You don't remember. Irrelevant. None of this shit matters. Like, who was cool freshman year when you're a freshman in college? It doesn't matter. What are you doing now? Yeah. Like, what are you preparing to do? That's all that matters. So get the social media, the vanity, selfies, all that's like me, cool. I'm not criticizing any of those things. I use all of those things. I think I posted a picture that included my face in the last 2 days. But this obsession, the me-ness can completely override actually like living in the human experience and being present. And you can really change somebody by just being yourself in front of them and not hiding it and pointing out the similarities. And I think one thing that I think illustrates the point, because this Black Lives Matter thing is super important, but for some people it can feel so singularly exclusionary of them. They don't know how or what to do with it, and that's totally human and reasonable. Just like if this was anything else that was identifying one race of people that is not your own, you're trying to find a way to how to feel about that. One of the things I think that demonstrates why people feel so, and this movement, by the way, and it is a movement, it comes from two things. It comes from a lot of things. It's like they did a segment on YouTube showing how many movies say there's two kinds of people in this world. It's a kind of a ridiculous thing to say, and I just said it. But there are a lot of this stuff comes from pain, like from being hurt. These people are hurt. They're not attacking you, they are hurt. And it's about love. I spent a fair amount of time in Ferguson. That's a love movement. There's so much love going on in the communities down there of themselves and each other and trying to fill a hole that has been created by a system that's so much bigger and has such a farther reach than them.